that we asked. The survey was divided into kind of, how do you feel? Thinking back, remember. Don't just leave the remembering up to God. Remember. What first brought you here? What keeps you here? And then I asked you the question I really wanted to know the answer to, which was, how do you feel about this building? So let's look. What first brought you here? What unites all of you? So many of you. Take a look. I would say, so we had 29 answers. And 29 people take the survey. I don't know if anybody's taken it since this morning about 9 a.m., but that was where we were at 9 a.m., 29 people. You may find yourself not having taken it, know where you are on that, I wonder. But a significant portion of you, and two particularly stand out, the ways we invested in mission and service in our community, but more so than that, our theology and our values, what we believe in, which plays really well into how we designed our questions that came after that. I would say the number one concern you all had about this, over and over again I saw, you're deeply concerned about what it means for who we are and how we stay true to who we've always been, our core values. We'll get to those core values in a few minutes, but what brought you to Kingstowne? Theology and mission. Actually, those are really great answers. I'm really glad you said those. And then what keeps you at Kingstowne? Relationships, well, I would hope that would be a part of it, right? Because you come for theology and mission, but you don't know the people yet. So what keeps you there? The people you've met, the relationships you've formed. Mission and service keeps you there. And I will be honest, I know we have not done much of that. We have not done much mission and service in the last 3 months. Everything has been super consumed by building stuff. But we're going to look forward, right? Theology, values, and inclusivity, again, it keeps you here. And the way we do church, you seem to like our scrappy way of doing things. Our so Kingstowne way. And then I asked you, how do you feel overall about our move? Did you know, when I made this town hall, when I was putting this together, I noticed that our last town hall about this, was exactly 2 years ago to this weekend. It was April 14th, 2024. Exactly 2 years. I didn't even know that. I didn't remember it. But when we voted, and I'm going to remind you, I'm going to jog your memory. When we voted, and y'all voted in a survey on whether to move forward, and we ended up having about 50 responses, so way more than this was. When you voted, it was like 96% passing, and you all knew in the process of that it would mean that we would likely take on a 9:30 worship time, that we would be sharing space with other churches, and that we would be having a building when we've always been mobile, and with all of the questions related to what that means for our identity, and are we going to forget who we are, right? Y'all knew, and 96% of the congregation says, yes, we want to pursue this. I will say one of the number one concerns I saw, this has shifted a little bit, right? Look, if 96%, this is 30-something people, 30 people, 28 people, and we're more like 85% aren't sure if they want to say I'm hopeful or I'm excited about this. So we've got some anxiety and some fear in the room that we didn't fully realize or soak in at the moment of the decision to enter into relationship with Virginia Hills, right? Got a little bit of anxiety in the room. And besides the fact that you all are worried about us losing our who we are, that courageous conversation, creative community, collaborating for the common good, the other pieces that tended to give you anxiety or pause were finances. Can we afford this thing? And time of service. A lot of people asking what time, which we've made very clear before what time. It would be 9:30. 9:30 is what we said all along. So That is still the time we're going with. And you can move to that kind of, we'll come back to this. Go to the slide where it says the main 3 things you should know. So the main 3 things you should know. This first one hasn't changed, but just a little bit. Cost. We currently rent this space here on a monthly basis, if we have 4 Sundays, for about $2,300 a month. We always talked about, it would probably be $2,500 to move here, but we would have full access to the building, round the clock, key to the place. And for 2026, 2027, if you got to look at the lease at all, which I attached in the email this week. Also, you should know, in the app right now, if you have the app on your phone, you go under worship, and there is the big move. There's a little piece up here that says the big move. Congregational survey is up there if you want to take it but haven't. I still want to know what you're thinking, because it helps me know if there's other questions I didn't anticipate. Then we have the lease agreement that we will be talking about next week if you want to view that PDF document. And then the use schedule, what that looks like as far as what we get to use in the building, how much access we have, all of that. So the first main thing to know, you'll notice on the lease, it says we have a 5-year lease. Tanya will talk about this and how we got here and all the other nitty-gritty pieces next week. But 5-year lease, the first year will be at this amount, the $2,500. You'll notice that it will go up to $3,000, and we negotiated that, and that was I think they would prefer $3,000 now, but they knew that in good faith they had made a promise to us. And had talked about $2,500 for so long. I think $3,000 is probably where they sit when they take stock of all of the expenses with utilities and everything that they're anticipating, but not knowing yet. They also know they can't charge us $3,000 when they don't even know how much utilities are yet. Kind of need a year to get a sense of that. So we wanted to kind of make sure that we had a little bit of control and knowing in advance what they could raise it to. So we wrote into a 5-year lease, $2,500, then move up 1 year from May to $3,000, and then a normal 3% increase for the next few years after that. So by the end of 5 years, we're at about $3,200. That, I will say, as far as anxiety related to the money is concerned, I feel very confident in our congregation's ability to fund this, specifically because of all that this building allows us to do and have and full use. For the difference is negligible compared to what we have. We pay $2,300 to be in here for 4 hours a week. And we will get round the clock use of that building for $25. So to me, just pausing there for a second, does anybody have any concerns or questions about money? Because that was the big concern. Yes?
So, don't take this the wrong way.
Actually, can I give you a mic so that those online can hear you?
So I don't want this to come off
Sure,
the wrong
I don't,
way
no,
at
please.
all, but here's where I see this.
That's the red one, I think.
Hello? No. Hello? Got me?
Got it.
All right.
Got it.
Thank you. Okay, so here's where I see this. And I don't want this to come off pessimistic,
don't.
but so Virginia Hills sold that land for Brightview to build, got money so that they could build this new building outright, not have to take out a loan or anything. Mm-hmm. We're doing a cost share. It's a 1/3 cost share, I assume. I'm not sure what the Hispanic church's cost is in this. We know what ours is. I assume Virginia Hills would be equally doing this, but at this rate, even at the $3,000 level, that's $9,000 a month. Mm-hmm. It'd be astronomical to think that that is how much utilities are costing for that facility each month. But the fact is, if they built this building without having any debt, why is it so much? And are we paying equally 1/3?
Good question. Yeah. So they will be so for the Hispanic congregation, they will be offering the same amount to them. And I can't, as far as like the cost. They were going to be asking them for $3,000, and they understood that $3,000 now doesn't make sense when you've been telling us $2,500. So they're writing the lease with them, and I, as far as I know, for the same amount. The Virginia Hills finds it, so they sold the building. They received money to pay for this outright, yes. And that sale happened almost 7 to 8 years ago now, with a declining congregation and declining budget. So they have been running a deficit. They've been running a deficit for their own ministry quite substantially for many, many years, eating into the amount of money that they got from the sale. I know that. And so when they looked at the deficit they were running and how much it would cost for utilities, but that's to say that the part of this relationship with them is recognizing that we are a church that is growing, and they are a church that is aging. And in the process of that, they need often more money than they're not coming equally to the table with the same amount of congregational giving, because their giving is in decline. They have people that are, can you come, you want to come talk to that?
We did talk about this quite a bit, Chris. I think
Yeah.
you're bringing up a really good question.
Yeah.
One of the things that's very real, Paul can attest to this, it takes a lot even to maintain a brand new building. Mm-hmm. So the utilities is one thing, but the insurance that as the landlord they have to cover, I mean, they're responsible for everything that got built and maintaining it as well. So there are costs that they will have that we won't. And so I think that's an important factor in looking at the finances there. That even if you say it's $9,000 a month, I can't tell you what it costs to own a building like that, but they need to be setting aside all kinds of funds in the future to repair the HVAC system, or wait a minute, we forgot to put in that lighting, or that kind of thing. So they have to start stocking up cash to pay to fix things that inevitably will break in the future. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And that is not our responsibility. We contribute through our rent to that, but it's not our job to be stewards of the building in that way. And then there is the scale of their congregation is one thing to think about. I mean, it's not huge. So it's almost like what they've really put in is the ability to make this thing happen for the community, but they need our help and the help of La Hermosa to sort of live it.
Right.
They've kind of made it possible, but they can't carry it forward on their own.
Yeah.
So in that respect, there's this partnership. So that the money that they've earned, that they made, they've spent, and then some, or they've spent a lot of it, and going forward, the rent that we will be contributing helps them keep this building as a community asset ready, and
And to say if they were to rent it to us at its fair market value for rent, it would be so much more than what they're renting it to us for. What most churches are spending on a space like this for that amount would be upwards of $6,000 a month, and we are spending $2,500 to $3,000. So it kind of is. We're helping them.
The fact that they don't have a mortgage payment is why our rent's so low.
Right. Exactly.
Actually.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and we're helping them, but they're also helping us. We don't have to pay, because that's part of why 8 years ago we would have never dreamt of this, because when we think about a building, we think about having to rent space. If I were to try to get a small little piece of Lansdowne Shopping Center, I was going to pay $4,000 a week for that space. $4,000 a week. So when you take into that account, we thought this was never possible for us. Now it's possible, but it's only because of this kind of, they're in need, they need us, but we would need them to ever make this possible. Yeah, does that make sense? Awesome. Okay, the other thing, 9:30 service time. That's the other piece that a lot of people had questions about. We voted on this with that in mind back in 2024, that 9:30 would likely be the time. We said likely, not as a way to say we want to stay at 10. It was saying that still just we are figuring it out. 9:30 was what we held tight on. We meet at 10. We're moving to 9:30 a.m., which is the normal time of multiple church services in this area that are in that hour. That's actually, most of them actually happen in the 9 o'clock hour, not at 10. 10 is not a normal service time, just so you know. Most of them happen in the 9 o'clock hour and the 11 o'clock hour. We would be moving a little bit earlier to 9:30. They are moving to 11:15 from 11 o'clock. So it's not that they're not budging at all. They're moving to 11:15 so that we can be in the space. Get the first use of the space on a Sunday morning, which is nice, right? Our band gets to use first use of the space, which means we can get in there earlier. The band can have time to rehearse, can have time to warm up, all of that. Then we use the space from 9:30 until 10:45 is when our service is supposed to be done. That's an hour and 15. We've been working really hard over the last year. Obviously, today's not a good gauge of that because of the way the service is, but we've been working really hard over the last year to get our services down to an hour and 15 for this reason. So we will be, and we have a 30-minute transition period, right? They're coming in their service starts at 11:15. The 10:45 moment is when we'll be passing each other. They'll be coming into the space. At the same time, we're exiting the space. We should be totally out of that space, nothing left on the altar, nothing left, that's our trash, all that kind of stuff. By 11, gives them a full 15 minutes in the space before then. They're going to use a classroom for their choir practices that will happen during our service. So their choir will gather. They don't get the use of the sanctuary so that's another way they're compromising, right? Our band gets the use of the sanctuary on Thursday nights for practice and right before the service. They will be having their choir in a classroom with a piano until it's time to move into the space. And then we will pass each other in that way. Some people thought that there was a divider between the sanctuary and fellowship hall, and I think I might have used that term because I didn't know exactly what it looked like. It is a full-on wall. It's a full wall with closing doors. So it's not a thin divider or anything like that. There's no sound. It should not have too much sound bleed unless, we're being really, really crazy loud in the fellowship hall. But you exit the doors, our people leave, they will close the doors as their worship time begins. They'll probably stay open for the first 15 minutes or so as we're moving in and out. At some point, they'll close them so that they can create a quieter space. Our people will be in the fellowship hall, which is also the lobby, mingling, doing our highs, goodbyes, getting our kids, drinking coffee, having a beverage, sitting on the couch that's out there, hanging out by the fireplace, whatever we do there, we can still use that. We're not just out of the building altogether. That's our mingle time, and then we will exit, at a normal rate that we would after church. Any questions about the 9:30 worship time? There was one question that was on the survey. Somebody said, if we notice when we get into the building that we have a significant decline in on-time attendance at 9:30, once we're in there because of an earlier time, what do we do? We say, come to church on time. That's all we can do. What I would say to you is, a part of our values as a church, our mission, is to collaborate for the common good. If we are not willing to move our worship time even an inch, we have effectively said we're not willing to collaborate in this. We are effectively not living into the values that we are holding so dear. You understand? So as a church, we have to live into that by showing up at 9:30 now. And I know some of you that's going to be harder for than others. You'll get used to it. Guess what? Anything takes 21 Sundays. It'll take a whole year for you, I promise. A half a year, whatever. But keep coming. The more you don't come, the less it will be possible for you to create a rhythm of that new time, and it will always feel foreign, and then I would hate to say goodbye. I would hate for you to exit because of that. It would actually be I hope there's a lot of reasons you would exit besides worship time. Don't be the people who exit because of a time. We should be able to that is collaboration. That is saying, hey, we're going to give a little bit because look at all that we're getting. Look at all we're giving. All right, any other questions on that, new worship time, and how we would do that time with the flexibility? A lot of questions that you asked were about how we would share space, how we would do this between churches thing. How do you move? I think it helps to know that there are actual doors and walls in between those two spaces, and we can do that well, I believe. Yeah, go.
Just one other thing that we started to talk about as a leadership group is the idea that this whole summer is going to be trial and error, R&D department stuff for all of these churches. Like, it's not like they've got this figured out and they've invited us. Imagine we're about a month away from having like these sort of clumsy services where we're trying to figure out how to worship.
Yeah.
We should do a bloopers reel or something like.
Totally should.
I mean, it's going to be an opportunity for us to not. One of the things I always loved about this church so far is that we don't claim that perfection is necessary to worship and follow Jesus. In fact, in some cases, we rebel against it at times. We get to still do that. Just because the building looks more formal doesn't mean this is the most dressed up I'm getting ever, right? I think we still get to be that kind of informal, arguably rebellious guerrilla warfare kind of church. We just get to do it on Tuesday now too.
And I might have to sub in for a service at 11:15, and I'll just keep my dress slacks in the office, or I might have to put on an actual stole or do something. I might have to at some point, but I'll still look like this. I promise you.
But I think what we're going to need, and part of the reason to do this survey is so that the leadership team and everybody can be kind of reminded of all the stuff we're going to need to figure out together. What it means to share dishes. Wait a minute, dishes? Oh yeah, there's gonna be cabinets because there's walls, because there's, all of the stuff that makes it, that are just now possible, we're gonna have to kind of figure out in real time. And this summer is gonna be an important part of that. So the survey is gonna stay open, of course, but also the idea of, as we are starting to worship there, and if you see something that could be different or could be, please bring it forward.
Yeah.
We might then ask you to deal with it, be the champion of dealing with it. But this is going to be part of how we get to be courageous and collaborative and creative going forward, is to figure out this partnership. So anyway,
let's go back to that last question. Let's review some of those other things that you had. So which of the following is most important to you about the new space? I mean, overwhelmingly, welcome and fellowship seem to be the thing that you all are saying is absolutely missing in our church, because we don't have a place we get to hang out afterwards. We don't have a building that we can easily just go, hey, we want to get the women together. Let's just reserve it for Tuesday night. We got to navigate who is going to host, and wow, that's going to happen. Is somebody willing to offer all of that up? And there's a lack of consistency in it, because oftentimes it is, because of the nature of space, directed by me, and it's more so we're fellowshipping where I am, instead of you all fellowshipping because you all love each other and want to get together in a building. So it will be the building. If you look at that use document if you have the phone in front of you, that's why I invited you to. We would have loved to make this like a Slido presentation, but the problem is of the Wi-Fi in the school. It just doesn't work, because it would have to immediately update. We'll do that kind of stuff in the building. But I wanted you to have your phone today, because if you have any more questions, my number is going to be on the screen and you can text me. If you do not have my phone number, you should by now. So you can text me any questions you have. But also in the app, we have our schedule of use. If you pull up that document, under worship, under Sunday worship, and then the big move, and then use schedule. If you open that PDF, this is what we have agreed on with them. Currently, Sundays, when the musicians can warm up, and I don't really think they would care whether we were in there at 8 or not. I mean, that's just what we have up there. When band rehearsal would be, we could change that too. When we would have a leadership team meeting in the space, when the kids' common table might use it, when youth group might use it, and we don't know. Will we be other places sometimes? Sure, yeah. Will we still go out to lunch? Yeah, sure, but we want to make sure they know that we'll be there. Fellowship hall and kitchen, I don't know when we'll use it, but you all can help me figure that out, right? When will we use it? I don't know. Let's think about that. Let's schedule time. If we have a potluck right after church, and they're having their service, big things, huge things, big things that will kind of cause a loud noise in that shared space, or be a little bit more rowdy than that would be overcome their service, we will work it out with them. There will be Sundays when they decide to just come and worship with us because it's a big event for us, okay? It would be like our 10th birthday. they might just decide to worship with us that day. We've already talked about how there might be weeks when we have extra things, big events, they're just going to come to us. Their big homecoming service, they have one thing I think in October every year or something like that. We may line it up where that's when we're at Franconia Park, or that might be we just choose to join them for worship that day. We can work out those things, but they will only happen a couple times a year. The rest of the time is learning to be in the building together, and we'll figure out how to do that. We can Friendsgiving feast. We can have Friendsgiving together. Let's have a meal together after church, right? Yes, thank you.
Is the expectation that in the new space we would celebrate some of the major events that we normally do out in the community, like Easter at Knowles, or Christmas,
Good
or
question.
the Lenten services?
Yeah. This is when I get to, yes, when it comes to midweek services, that's always like the biggest issue for us. Finding places to meet on midweeks for like Ash Wednesday, it's already hard. It's hard to do all of that. I can say for a fact that's going to solve a lot of our issues with finding good Monday, Thursday, Good Friday, Ash Wednesday kind of places. That's for sure going to help. It also provides an opportunity to have children's stuff offered during that time that we can't do in any of the spaces we've had. Sundays, what we do on Sundays, a lot of that, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, if I might miss a point you want to make, though.
No, I don't.
So last Sunday, immediately after the rain started and we were taking things down at Knowles, I was up on a ladder pulling a piece of fabric down that we'd set up so Christian's drums didn't get wet. And Michelle asked, so next year, when we do this, how do we do it? And it is too soon to talk about. All of us were just kind of in the throes of the logistics of moving a church around on Easter Sunday. Mm-hmm. But it didn't take too long after that to start to say, okay, there is so much wonderful connectivity that you can't replicate by actually celebrating our most important moments out in the community. Mm-hmm. It was tough to think about at 2 p.m. on Sunday, though. I think what we all kind of talked about at that moment was the need to continue to discuss what we think is most important to celebrate in the most extroverted way possible.
Right.
There might be certain events that we just are not willing to do indoors at our new home.
Absolutely.
But there may also be ways of celebrating there that enable other kinds of outreach and other kinds of connectivity.
As they were putting up the railings on the porch this week, and it's a large porch. It's like this, as wide as this rug is, the porch. I mean, it could fit whole round tables with chairs and umbrellas, all that. As they were doing this and they were talking about the chairs and umbrellas and stuff this week, I thought, please don't buy chairs and umbrellas that are hard to move. So I immediately told them, buy ones that fold, that you can easily move indoor, because I immediately thought in my brain, it's that hill over the Virginia Hills neighborhood, I could just see sunrise happening on that porch, where the sunrise comes up. But I'm not saying we're doing it because I don't know yet, right? Like, do we do sunrise at Knowles? Who knows yet?
So,
I don't know, but I could see it happening.
One of the things that's important about this survey is that at the very end of it, it says, do you want to submit another response? I would suggest to everyone to take it at least once. If you do go back in and you want to add something you didn't say the first time, or you feel like there's really something important for us to be considering, or if there's something on your mind, like, I really want to celebrate in this way that we've always done, or I really want to find a new way to celebrate that thing that we've done differently in the past, please put that in there, because that's what the leadership team's going to be trying to use as the greatest set of raw material to figure out how to steward our finances well against those priorities. Mm-hmm. So, and part of what we need to do, maybe more than we've done before, because, over time, we just made some commitments on finances a lot earlier than we normally do. We kind of need to see farther into the future about how we're going to spend our money at certain times. So, if we think it's really important to celebrate something a particular way that we've done in the past, or that we want to do differently, it's helpful for us to see that a little farther out than we have dealt with it.
And to answer your question, we still have a relationship with our NeighborKind collective.
Yeah.
That will absolutely be the thing that drives us out before anything else. Because we have these shared services already built into our calendar. Many of them, two things that are obviously a huge hit. The egg hunt that we do and the trailer treat. We're not going to move those into any parking lot on premises and have the kind of impact that we do at the park. Is it harder there? Yes, but the level of impact says, so it's gauging also the difficulty of it with impact, right? Like a little bit of those two things. And so I don't know, is our time with Knowles going to shift if we have beautiful green space on property, right? I don't know.
Yeah, we
We'll
don't
have
know
the year
yet.
to figure that out. We'll have the year to figure that out. Yes. Both who and do y'all have the same question? Do you just not talk to each other?
I just want to piggyback on that real quick because economies of scale. Thinking about things like Christmas service, the fact that 3 churches are sharing a space and to decorate that one space, we can share that cost and have it much longer.
Absolutely. We will not have like 3 different versions of Christmas trees. We will have one bank of beautiful Christmas decorations that are high caliber ones now, not tinsel, that just that we can all put up together. It'll be beautiful. Yes.
So the nursery and preschool care, I noticed it's extended for Virginia Hills. Are they going to pay?
We don't. We actually are still in the process of that. They actually said they don't want it at first.
Oh,
So
okay.
we thought but they said they wanted to see how that was going to turn out, and they might have some preschool people. So we're going to put that pause in that. But we've offered in case they need it if they don't have it. Yeah.
And then the second question is, obviously, the Virginia Hills service starts at 11:15, but if we do kids' common table or if we do events in the classrooms, that's happening while their
That's
services.
fine.
And they're sharing the classroom space with us, right?
They're sharing the classrooms with us. There are 6 classrooms, so we have plenty to use. And one of them will have specifically adult-sized furniture so that it could be used for a seminar kind of thing So while the band's rehearsing, I'm saying we haven't talked about confirmation yet. Confirmation, I don't know. It might happen right after worship. It could happen later in the day. It could happen before church service ever begins. God forbid teenagers getting up that early. I get it. But what I mean is there's options. We have all the options that we never had before. Before it was like it's going to be at somebody's house and you're going to have to host and provide a meal, right? Now we have many more options. We want to make sure that we honor the time of today, and I know you have a million other questions. Hey, Carla, go for it.
I want to turn. I was just going to say, been hearing about this and listening to all this, and we have so many great questions, and we're obviously so passionate and we're so invested that to me it's like having a baby. You don't know what's going to happen when you have a baby. You just kind of know there's a due date and you're going to love it, and there's a ton of questions and it's going to get worked out along the way, and your finances are going to change every month depending on what is going on with the baby. And you don't want to get out of bed, but the baby's awake, so you might as well show up at 9:30. And
That's
when
right.
we had Marin, and Ryan's going to cringe, but when we had Marin, we were driving to my parents' house. I am 8 months pregnant. I am driving because he's got the computer in his lap. He's running a spreadsheet in Excel. We're driving to our baby shower. We are a mile from my house. We've been in the car an hour and a half. He's been crunching numbers. 8 months pregnant. Ryan says, "We can't afford to have this baby." I'm not kidding, guys. I'm not kidding.
Oh, you got the baby.
He goes, "Carla, we can't afford to have this baby." And I literally pulled over into the parking lot of a farmer's market and said, "Get out." And he said, "What? I'm just stating facts. The math doesn't work. We can't have this baby." And I'm like in my maternity wear. We're going to this baby shower, and I'm like, "The baby is coming, Ryan."
Yeah.
So the baby is coming. We are moving, right?
Yes.
Like we said 2 years ago we wanted to do this.
Yeah.
And like we're here. The baby is already coming, and we're going to make it work, and it's going to be beautiful. And we have so many creative, awesome, great minds in this congregation that whatever obstacles come up or whatever gets thrown at us, we are going to figure it out. And we're going to figure it out as a group and in love. And because of who we are going to attract more people. And we are, I very, very much feel this, like be in great communion with Virginia Hills and with our Spanish group that's going to be there. I think they're La Hermosa. La Hermosa. We're going to be great with them. And I feel like the relationships that we've invested in over the last decade with Knowles, with Chalkboard, with Sometimes we've even ended up at like La Madelaine's, right, in Kingstowne. I feel like all of those places, we are going to figure out a way to still have relationship and community and events that are meaningful for all of us, right? It's just like when you have a baby, your relationships change, right? Your relationships change with other friends who have kids who are older, who have kids who are younger, but like you figure out a way to make those friendships and relationships work. And I think that's what we're gonna do. And I think that's what we have always been good at. And I think this church building is going to magnify who we are and not reduce us.
Agreed. You know, you were talking about you were already pregnant. I was thinking of the moment where I was 18 and decided to get engaged, and my parents were like, "Sure," because they were certain that it was all going to fall apart over the next 3 years. We're now at the part where I told my parents, "Told you so." You know, it actually happened. It happened. We are now. It didn't fall apart over the last 2 years. We are here. I think some of you might have actually thought, I don't know if this is actually going to happen. We don't know whether they're going to even build that building. It's here, and I'm still having to convince myself that it's here. It's here. What an opportunity. And all of the ways we are courageous, creative, and collaborative just get to shift and expand in that space. A lot of you asked how we're going to use the space for mission. That was the one thing I didn't get to talk about. I cannot wait to start wondering and thinking about that with you. I can't even say, I don't know. How are you going to use the space for mission? I don't know. Church, how are you going to use the space for mission? Like, I don't have an answer to that, but that's because that's what we need you for. We need you to be a part of that, right? So band, come forward. Let's have communion.